Well, so we have to do the newspapers. We'll look at some online portals, but Momavi is ready. Momavi, good morning to you.
Hello, good morning, Roland Walker. How are you doing?
Chaladi.
Okay, I want to be very nice to you. It's the 18 of the government restrictions on movements, and today is the 16th of April. Gradually, we're climbing. As in, we've halved April.
Yes, we have. And our case count, as at what we monitored over the last 12 hours, seems to have increased from the last count.
It has. We've got an update later this morning. There's a press conference to give us a brief. They've stated 3 areas. We'll share that with you in the course of our review this morning. Welcome to the review segment here on the AM Show. We've got a couple of newspapers in the studio. We have the Daily Graphic, the Times. I see the New Crusading Guide. One more paper, Roland.
Yeah, the Times New Crusading. There's one, Daybreak. I hadn't seen it before, so
okay.
I'm not sure that we're doing
all right. I'm not sure all the papers are still operating, but these are the ones we have. So let's start with the Daily Graphic newspaper, front page of the paper. Disregard video on reopening of schools. That's according to the Director General of the Ghana Education Service, Professor Kwesi Opoku Amankwa. What are people saying? We'll get into details. We can't fight COVID-19 in fear. That's according to Dr. Letitia Apia, who is the Executive Director of the National Population Council. Zenith Bank supports COVID-19 fund with 1 million Ghana cedis by the banner headline. Blood banks run dry, according to Dr. Justina Ansa, who is the Chief Executive Officer of the National Blood Service. We did speak to her, was it like 2 weeks ago, Roland Walker?
Yes.
And they seem to have a very solid plan. There was a plan B, and they were trying to also allay the fears of people who want to donate, trying to give steps that they are checking everything, as in try to put some systems in place so that you're safe donating blood. But it looks like people didn't heed to that call. In the center spread of the paper, Accra-Tema motorway cleaned up. Soldiers cleaning portions of the Accra-Tema motorway. There's a picture of that, an insert actually in the center spread of the paper. And I want to take this opportunity to big ups our military men, the men we call the soldiers and officers of the Ghana Armed Forces. They protect the country, and if it means cleaning, if that constitutes protection of the country, so be it. I mean, they get down to do anything that they are asked to. Big ups to them. I was on the phone with one of our colleagues yesterday, Roland Walker. He stopped at the Valley View toll booths, and there was a military officer who had stopped him and said, the man, so I could hear what the man was saying, and then he said, one of my jobs is also to educate you on coronavirus. And he went through the stops: wash your hands, can you show me your sanitizer? And it was really impressive.
Wow.
And so, yeah, big ups to all the officers who are not just checking ID cards, but also taking the opportunity to do some education on the road. We have some great men in uniform doing on the road. Work. Absolutely great work. Whether it is the sun is hot or not, they're there doing their work. So it's the military officers and the police officers as well doing a fantastic job on all of our behalf. Let's still stay in the center spread of the paper. As you can see, country on track against COVID-19. Dr. Okoboy, Deputy Health Minister designate yesterday as he appeared before the vetting committee. Knights and ladies of Marshall donate 100,000 Ghana cedis to COVID-19 fights. Also another story there, said Knight brother Charles Cobb, Supreme Knight of the Knights of Marshall, presented the check to Most Reverend Charles Gabriel Palmer Buckle, the Archbishop of Cape Coast and Vice President of the Ghana Catholic Bishops Conference, at a ceremony in Accra. Beautifully captured there in the center spread of the paper. Let's continue on the back page. AMA launches Wear Your Nose Mask campaign. Very interesting. Tamale Central Hospital lays off 143 casual workers. One of the stories that broke my heart yesterday. And they have to go home because the hospital is not generating enough to take care of them. Let's continue with the Ghanaian Times newspaper. COVID-19 combat, 84 fishermen quarantined in the central region. National Trust Fund, that's the COVID-19 National Trust Fund, receives 3.2 million Ghana cedis and $250,000 donations. Also, 143 casual workers laid off at the Tamale Hospital. That story in the graphic also in the Ghanaian Times. Public warning, coronavirus is real. Follow prevention protocols to stop COVID-19 spread. And Tour MD resigns over bribery scandal. We spent a bit of time on that as well in the center spread. Well, essentially, stories on the front page in detail in the center spread. So let's do the back page. La Mansamo. Roland, this one is, you have to help me. Because I want to say P, but I'm not sure it's P. Is it P?
Mansamo P.
Mansamo P. What does it mean? It should have a meaning.
La Mansamo P.
But it's a community development association in the Dadekotopon municipality of the Greater Accra region. They've handed a medical facility to the Ghana Health Service for temporary usage.
I know it means like a meeting place.
Okay, following the closure of the General Hospital. So this is a very good thing they've done. La Mansamo P.
Is it P?
No, I didn't say
Mansamo.
Mansamo.
Cleaning, like cleaning.
Cleaning, okay.
Meeting, so meeting to clean, so like a communal.
Oh, okay. Well, they will forgive me.
But they are
I come
NGO,
from
right?
Angloga. Yes, that's an NGO. Absolutely, it's a community development association. They say. Family Health Hospital present PPE to Greater Accra Regional Hospital as well. So a lot of people given because that's it. But see, that's the whole spirit of Easter as well. We thought we didn't celebrate Easter. We did. We're living with it. Roland?
Well, definitely. Let's go to the Crusading Guide. It has on the front page, Tema Oil Refinery boss resigns over $4.5 million bribery allegations. His face is well splashed on the front page of the new Crusading Guide. He's taking center stage. And, on the side, we have bloody clash at Kokrobite as Ni Ofe led land guards flout lockdown protocol to install chief. Down there, chief elders of Namwala petition government over Changi's fraudulent agreement. Meanwhile, the Teshi Traditional Council, according to the story published by the New Crusading Guide, is donating to the vulnerable in our society. But on the back page of the New Crusading Guide, there's a story that says, we can't afford total lockdown, a story attributed to the majority leader, Oseche Mensah Bonsu. Down there, Cocoa Board is confident of annual syndication despite COVID-19. And those are the stories we have. I have Daybreak. I'm not sure it's on your screen. So
I was going to say Daybreak Hits. You know the morning show on Hits FM is Daybreak Hits.
Okay, so Daybreak says GRA in turmoil. Union fights board over bonus. Union is also accusing the board chair, Professor Ade, and they demand respect from Professor Ade. I don't know. They didn't hear of him before he was appointed. I don't know what they were expecting. So relax. Let him do his work.
At this time, when we are fighting a pandemic and the GRA is not even raking in it with all the packages that's been given, the incentives that's been given, GRA is not in a good position right now. I don't think the thing they should be doing is what you're reading in the paper this morning. No,
you're saying that they are just fighting at the wrong time.
Exactly, at a very wrong time. It would take a while for us to even recover before you go to people asking them for their taxes.
Okay.
So, Charlie,
so the story also said that he's been fingered for usurping the powers of the Commissioner General of the GRA, whatever that means.
But listen, the Commissioner General of the GRA has always been very powerful, really powerful. I don't see them use their power. The chairman wants a little bit of it. I don't know. You don't use it anyway.
I think the Commissioner General uses his powers a lot because he has too many powers at his disposal. So I think he's surcharging and all that. So they do.
No, I mean, but I'm just kidding with that.
Zoom Lion extends disinfection service to corporate Ghana. The story is also on the front page of the Daybreak newspaper. Lieutenant Dennis Tamsaki first signals regiment on suspension more soon. So it's coming. But those are the stories we have, Mama Lee.
All right, so let's go into a bit of the details and we'll do the Daily Graphic, page 11 to be specific. This story says the Ghana Education Service says no definite decision has been taken on the reopening of basic and second cycle schools in the country. The Director General of the GS, Professor Kwesi Opoku-Amankwa, told the Daily Graphic in Accra yesterday that with the current situation where nobody was certain whether COVID-19 would end, there was no way the GS could announce a date for the reopening of schools. He said once the coronavirus situation was addressed and it was safe to go to school, the service would come out with an official date as to when schools would reopen. So apparently there are people going around giving false information, fake news on reopening of schools. But the Director General of the Ghana Education Service has set the record straight on that. The other story that I also wanted to share a bit of was the Tamale Central Hospital laying off some 143 casual workers. That's on the back page of the Daily Graphic. It says the Tamale Central Hospital has temporarily laid off 143 casual workers of the hospital due to the negative impact of the coronavirus disease. The decision follows the inability of the hospital to mobilize enough revenue to pay the salary of workers as a result of a drop in the number of outpatients since the outbreak of COVID-19. Now, this is something that is sad. This shouldn't be happening. Well, it's not the hospital's fault, really, but I guess some intervention of a sort is needed, because the last thing you want to do will be to lay people off, especially if you're a hospital. We don't know what is even coming at us, and you want all your numbers. If you look at the story in detail, it says, so for instance, there are cleaners, there are people, so these are support staff, essentially, put them in that category. Support staff, very essential people as well. So if there's any way, I don't know, Roland, who we can make an appeal to keep the 143 workers, some kind of support to the Tamale Central Hospital, that will be really, really good. You don't want anybody going home, especially in a health facility at this time.
I think relatedly, because they are paid from IGF, or what they call, or what we decided, the internally generated fund, it becomes difficult to then appeal to the Ghana Health Service to incorporate them. And so with all the donations that are going around, perhaps an appeal to any of the benevolent or corporate bodies who are donating to the COVID fight will also, or can also, take this up as one of their contributions. Just
pay the salaries of these 143.
Because they play critical roles.
Absolutely.
Just that their roles are complementary. But if you get to find, there's a speech that has been made by the boss of health, the chief health officer for the UK, just over the last 2 weeks, who said that it is now that the health system across the developed world is now seeing how useful wardens are, nurses are, even the work that just basic people do at mosques, etc. Because when you and I are asleep, we have frontline workers who have to do the work, the dirty work. And it's the work that nobody sees when everything is so rosy. Everybody tends to see the medical doctor, etc. But the one who cleans the ward, who is even given the less number of facilities or logistics to work with, who is less paid, who has to bear the brunt of the virus at the end of the day. Yeah, absolutely. So that's what it is. And I know it permeates even society, the way we tend to rate or categorize.
Derek Sam, let's see if we can speak to the director of the hospital in the course of our program today. Let's see if we can make this appeal and then also activate the lines at some point. Let's try and see if we can get some help for the facility so they can keep the 143. I
agree to this.
Any other stories you want to review before we do much online?
There's only a story that has been published by the Crusading Guide, the new Crusading Guide, and it's about the majority leader saying we can't afford a total lockdown. And I know this argument has been...
Why don't we leave it to the scientists?
Great.
I mean, the technical people. Great. I don't like it when politicians try to make the call.
Because that was just the exact thing I wanted to say. Because we've had a lot of people tend to do a lot of talk. Even though in the story he's been quoted as saying that the president is receiving the best advice. I always say that when you're a top politician and some of these questions are posed to you, because you're not the expert, don't try to take center stage and get the limelight, so to speak. Just rebuff the questions. Yeah,
but we should also stop putting such questions to politicians.
I agree. And I'll take a cue from what the Minister for Information said during his last press conference. And he said the media consistently needs to stop posing questions, inviting politicians to come and talk on expert issues, especially in this time when people need expert information.
Yeah.
And that's what we do here.
Just think about it critically. What has Parliament done apart from approving loans or funds from the finance minister when he appears before Parliament on COVID-19?
Yeah.
Technically nothing.
Yeah.
So, you know, you kind of ask them. Yeah, I also wanted to, just before we do My Joy Online, maybe we should do My Joy Online, and we can talk about the TOR MD, because people have been talking, following that statement from the Communications Directorate of the Presidency, saying the President had received his resignation. Somebody put a very important post on Facebook, which I read, that isn't the resignation supposed to go to the board? But the President received it and notified the board, like, you know. Well, the appointing authority is the President. So if you resign, you give your resignation to the President. Yes, because it's the letter of appointment is issued by the Presidency. Here's what I commented on that post, and I said, good corporate governance, it looks like it's only in our books. Let's do myjoyonline.com. Let me stop talking. Yes, roll it. So coronavirus recoveries in Ghana leap from 17 to 83. That's absolutely good news. Ghana's coronavirus case count rises by 5 to hit 641. One of the things we will be asking, especially with the US saying that they peaked already, we should also be asking that technical question. When do we say we've peaked? Pregnant Ghanaian nurse dies after contracting coronavirus in UK, but baby survives. Are you at risk of COVID-19? KNUST app can help with an answer. You can check it out. Proposed Wankuma in stable condition. Ghana's mission to the UK and Ireland is confirming that EC needs alternative to new electoral roll compilation. That's according to the CDD's Dr. Sante. And squatters at Old Fadama sleep in the open after city authorities demolish their makeshift homes. Well, the mayor of Accra says they have a plan for them. Ghana's mosques congested as families shun private burials. We brought you that in detail. Not all healthcare personnel deserve Akufo-Addo's 50% allowance, according to the man who was voted yesterday. Parliament is back on Friday to approve or not of his appointment. Roland? Well, so we have to do the BBC. They always give us live Africa updates, and Kenyans attempt to storm out of quarantine center. They accuse the government of holding them in prison-like facilities with little basic services and more. And they seem to just flout the regulations. Africa, what is wrong with us? Well, no time for half measures in helping Africa's economy. Many African economies had been growing strongly before the coronavirus hit. Well, the mystery of Nigeria's fake gangster attacks is also there. And it says there's a radio drama used to stop the spread of coronavirus. But look, there's an update as to the world economy, because there's a talk currently about G20, group of developed countries, in that bracket, delaying poor nations' debt payments. You know, the IMF has been leading all this talk, and the World Bank and all, about, you know, debt forgiveness for countries like Ghana and the rest of the countries in sub-Saharan Africa and Asia especially, who fall within the bracket of third world, developing countries, debt forgiveness and all. You saw the Kenyan story about those in quarantine, mandatory quarantine, who were attempting to storm out. I listened to it in detail and I was like, oh, Ghana, we should love our Ghana. When people traveled and came back, we put them in hotels, 3-star, 4-star, maybe 5-star hotels. But these people were kept like in the description. Isn't that a place you want to be? What? Sharing the same toilets, fetching water to flush the toilet and stuff like that. It is happening in Kenya. It didn't happen in Ghana. And I was so proud of